Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland for Bramble Fox, and today I am making a layout using the moments captured perspective from the March Fox box. It's a really lovely yellow colour and really great kind of primary colour to go with a photo of my boy, and I've chosen to use the Shimelle Field Trip collection today. It goes really well with the layout that I really want to make. So I started off with a piece of that cut apart sheet of paper from the field trip collection, but I wanted to use the other side as a border. It's got colourful stars all over it, but I wanted to keep the middle pieces to fussy cut. I'd already used some of them, so I just cut out the rest and left myself with a strange shaped border that will be on the back. And here I am just adding white cardstock to that background. I've only had to trim the cardstock a tiny bit because some of the fussy cut bits that I pulled off of the cut apart sheet were very close to the edge. So I've got a very narrow border here, but I really love the stars as the border. So I was really happy to be able to have used that piece of paper to its maximum capacity, literally used every last piece of it, all the middle fussy cut apart pieces and the border as well. So there you go. I've just got some notches out of that card, and here I am arranging my photos. So that's the sky is the limit. That was from that cut apart sheet, and I really love it. My boy is obsessed with Lego and builds constantly and builds the most amazing creations. He's only 6 and he even does these 16 plus Lego sets following all the instructions and everything, so as well as his own crazy creations too. So bless him. I thought I would document that little story about him. We also went to the Lego shop. It's a little Brick Traders Lego shop in St Albans where we live, and we've never been before. Don't go there, it's really expensive because all the sets are retired or rare, and I was hoping for some bargains for him to spend his pocket money, but actually he spent his pocket money and an awful lot of my money in there as well. So yeah, it's a fantastic shop, but not great. Brilliant for collectors, but not great if you're after a bargain. There weren't any. Anyway, moving on. So I've taken a strip of that colourful field trip paper. I'm going to put that on the right hand side of my layout, and I'm taking another piece of that and I'm going to cut the same coloured stars from that piece of paper as well. So I have multiple stars. I have big ones and little ones, and I have this block strip of paper as well. So I'm going to stick that over on the right hand side of my layer, and then my stars are going to layer over the top of those colours and extend those colours out as well. The moments captured then sits really nicely on that orange piece. It still shows up really well. Quite often I struggle to use white perspectives because I scrapbook a lot on white backgrounds, so this would have been an ideal way to make a white perspective show up, but actually this one was yellow anyway, so yeah, anyway. So I'm just arranging my stars, and I'm obviously doing those on a colour on colour basis. So the blue ones I'm kind of aiming for horizontally across the page, like a star collection horizontally going all the way across, as those stripes are. So even though the stripes don't extend all the way across the page, I'm hoping to extend the stripes by sticking the stars in the same colours along the same line where they would be. Okay, so I'm just going through sticking lots down. I'm using some foam pads to stick them in place, and some I'm sticking flat. Mostly I'm going to raise them on foam pads because it's me and I really like foam pads. Yeah, I like lots of dimension on my layout, so that's what I'm doing there. So yeah, just carrying on adding those. The sky's the limit isn't stuck yet. I think my photos are not stuck, so I'll need to get those stuck down at some point as well. I have 2 different size photos, so 3 photos on a layout is quite a lot for me, and one of my photos is huge. It's a 6x4, well actually it's a little bit smaller than that because of the way my printer prints, but it's a bigger photo, and then I've got my 2 smaller ones as well in my normal size. So yeah, I'm just working with a bigger photo spread than I would normally work with, but actually I really love the way this layout turned out. Sometimes I make layouts and I think, oh, I'm not that keen, it's not great, or it's not it doesn't flow very well. There's too many photos, or the photos are too big or too small, blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It really captures the feel of the chaos in his room, and I really like the way it turned out. So just getting my photos arranged in place, and the sky is the limit planet sign is ideal as well, goes really well with my photos and the whole ethos of him building. And as I say, the moments captured works really well. It is nice to catch a moment in time sometimes. These are the little stories that you might not necessarily document. Quite often just take photos on events when we're out and about, but this one actually is about himself, his personality, what he's into. So yeah, I quite like having pages like this done every so often. So I'm going to mount that photo on that very brightly coloured piece of field trip paper, and distress the edges of that, because I'm distressing the edges of everything at the moment, and I'm going to get that stuck in place there. Then I'm going to stick the other two down as well. I normally raise the top of my photos on foam pads and stick the bottom part flat. That's because I like to add embellishments on my photos, or at the bottom of my photos, and having the bottom edge stuck flat normally gives me a good platform to put those embellishments on. So just adding those photos with a couple of library cards behind them. That's from one of the field trip papers I cut up. So they're not quite big enough to mount my photos, so they just have to be offset, but I'm good with that. So just getting those down. And this month I've been on a bit of a mission to use up perspectives that I've had in my stash for a while and haven't used. So I had this set of arrows from the store. They're called Amazing Arrows. You'll see them in a minute. They're a set of black arrows. They might come in different colours, but my ones were black. There were 4 arrows in the set. They say, love it, amazing. And then there's also these other 2 that say been there, done that. So I'd already used love it and amazing back in, oh goodness knows, October-ish time, but the other 2 I didn't use, so I've still got been there, done that. I've been waiting for the perfect photos to come along, and the perfect layout. So this is it. So he is very much like that, been there, done that, doesn't want to do it again. So that kind of summed him up and this layout up really, really nicely. So they're going to get added in a minute. They are, say, a set of black arrows called no, they're not called that. They're called Amazing Arrows, and you'll see the ones that I'm going to use in a moment say been there, done that, and then the other 2 in the set say love it and amazing. So these weren't in the March Fox box, it's just the moments captured that was in the March Fox box that I'm using today, but the other 2 arrows, or 4 arrows, are available in the Bramble Fox shop. So head over and pick yourself up a set if you have got photos that work with them. Just getting my perspective stuck in place now. So moments captured. I've gone for across the orange stripe, and then I'm going to write my journaling above and below. There's the black arrows coming in now. Oh, you can't see them too well on the screen. Well, they don't show up as well as they should do. But you'll see them up as in the detail. You'll see them better in the close-ups. But yeah, they say been there, done that. So I've got one either side of my the planet that says the sky's the limit, and I've just put my water jar on top of one of those to stick it a bit flatter because it wasn't staying down. It wasn't behaving itself. And I've also pulled out some stars perspectives from my stash. So I had a set of Oh My Stars, and I'm nearly out actually, so I'm just using up the last few that I've got. Sticking down some turquoise ones in the blue section, and there was a red one which I put in the red section, or a couple of red ones I think. So they're a perfect addition to any set, any layout, sorry. Oh My Stars, loads of little stars, fabulous. Who can't use stars? I love them. I'm actually obsessed with stars, as you can see from this layout. Just going through with the Shimelle Field Trip enamel dots, or their enamel shapes actually. A couple of lightning bolts is all I have left really. So I'm just added those in the right colour section as well. So I'm just going to add some splatters to extend my red section a little bit. So I've just put some water in that paint and I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes and let it dissolve a little bit so that I have a paint that I can splatter. So while I'm doing that, I'm just writing in my journaling. I've used a grey journaling pen and I'm writing directly onto the pattern paper. Now I have some stars stuck in my way, so I'm as interested as you are to see what I'm going to do about that, because they're raised on foam pads. Sometimes I remove them, but actually no, I've managed to go round them and managed to get all of my journaling in. Oh, I had to go one line onto the white. So now just adding in my red paint splatters either side of the red stars, and I also want to add in some black splatters as well, or droplets. I really like Indian ink, and what with the big pops of black from the black arrows, I wanted to include some big drops of Indian ink too. However, the last few times I've used this, it has bled into my cardstock, so I'm just going in there with a tissue, and I am just wicking up some of the excess ink so that it doesn't bleed into my cardstock. Just writing in the date there into that little label sticker, and that is me done. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this layout. I really love how it turned out, and you can find the moments captured perspective in the March Fox box, and the Been There Done That arrows are a set called Amazing Arrows and are available in the store. Thanks for joining me. That was Niki Rowland for Bramble Fox.